So you're able to display a PDF?
Yeah, so you just tell me when you want to share. And then I can share and I'll take it down before you're done.
Right, I have a drawer.
It can be interactive.
Oh, yeah. People are loving it. Yeah, yeah, it's an hour. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Maybe have a little art there.
I saw that.
So sometimes we're zooming in here, you know, and Dolan is really hot.
Debbie? Right. Debbie? Yeah.
I'm not available for February to do that. I always leave my phone here.
Come back, we're gonna throw a massive party. Breitzer, Breitzer all night long.
Very good, I felt very guilty being here.
Okay, admittedly, I haven't been one of those in about 10 years, but
With the
nonetheless.
You know, it's time to go out.
Yeah, we were gonna take out, someone was out there every hour, we shovel. Told them like our little patch of sidewalk.
I've gotten together with friends, and they got a
I see if any on the block.
about
That's
10
right.
times in the past week. Somehow, for one night or another, my grandma's coming to town.
I told you I wasn't here.
Yeah.
She'll be at her Shabbat services on the 13th.
Been journaling longhand, right?
You'll see next time.
And, you know, taking pictures and posting them.
She'll need to be near the front and in the middle so she can see the screen.
Yes, when we're done.
How is
Alright.
it?
You wanna do it now?
She has hearing aids, so she's fine.
Yeah, do it and then I'll introduce.
Her eyesight's not terrible, but she can drive.
I'm not hugging.
But we're having dinner every night from the 8th to the 7th. And she's my Valentine. I know,
Smart.
You know what?
Shall I text this to you?
I know. She's 90 years old.
All right, let's get started. Thank you all for being here. We welcome Mr. Joshua Breitzer. He is the cantor at Beth Elohim in Brooklyn. I had the good fortune to see him sing for the first time right after he was ordained from the Hebrew Union College with Zamir at Beth Elohim in Wellesley. And from the moment I heard him sing, I said, wow, he is special. And he actually teaches at the Hebrew Union College, and when I was studying there, he was actually teaching and continues to teach. His latest is that he is the president of the American Conference of Cantors for the Reform Unit, Reform Cantors. And he was also named by the Forward in its Soundtrack of Our Spirit series as one of the best new Jewish voices. He's sung in concert halls all over. He's a wonderful teacher and a wonderful friend, and we welcome him.
Thank you so much, Cantor, Lori. Hi, everyone. So delighted to be with all of you here in the room and those of you on Zoom. I see there's a couple participants. Can we change the view maybe so we can see their faces as well? Is that possible? Or is it just Marcia? Marcia's off camera.
I think it...
Marsha's the only one that's there.
Oh, okay,
A lot of times people watch the playback after lunch.
got it. Well,
It's the after lunch and lunch.
got it. So whether you're with us in real time or watching the recording, I'm really delighted to spend this time with you together. As Spencer was pointing out before we got started, today is not just Tuesday afternoon lunch and learn here at Temple Bethel in Boca. It's also International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This, of course, marks 81 years since the liberation of Auschwitz. And so that's something that I'm sort of keeping with me and holding in my heart as we undertake this study together. And I know we have about an hour to work with, but I'm hoping we might be able to use this first part of the time perhaps to go around again for those who are with us in real time, to say your name and in just a few words, if you were to dedicate this lunch and learn, this period of study to someone or something, who would it be? What would it be for? So, Cantor Josh Breitzer, and I'm dedicating this period of study in memory of the liberation that occurred 81 years ago today. Maybe you can go around this way if you'd like to share your name and what you're dedicating this study for.
I'm Liliana Abramson. I'm dedicating this to my daughter that is having surgery on Friday.
My name is Sylvie Kingman, and I'm dedicating it to my parents and I who were there during the escape from Europe. I'm Ellen Abend, and I'm dedicating to Israel.
I am Lauren Lehman. I'm dedicating the study to my dad, who lives in Boynton Beach and was born in what's now Czechoslovakia during the Holocaust.
I'm Spencer. I'm dedicating this study to my great-grandmother, Pauline Rosenberg, who was one of the members of DASA very early on and passed it down all the way to my sister.
Just wanted to say hi.
I am Debbie Lynott. I'm going to dedicate this to my brand new granddaughter so that we can try to leave the world in a better place for our generation and generations after.
I'm Ann Foreman, and I'm dedicating this to my parents who did not have the joy of music when they, in the temple that they belonged to 50 years ago.
I'm Janice Lindbergh. I'm a member of Josh's synagogue in Brooklyn, and I'm going to be an outlier here, and I'm going to dedicate it to Alex Pettit, who just died, because he's a memory of what could happen to all of us and what did happen to so many of us.
Nirvana. I'm a visitor. I'm not dedicating. I'm learning Judaism from all angles by visiting the different classes you guys have and paying them free.
Welcome. Glad you're here. Marcia, would you like to share what you're dedicating this study to?
My name is Marcia, and I'm dedicating this to my cousin Leon, who was a Holocaust survivor.
Thank you. We'll come around perhaps to Michelle.
I'm going to dedicate this to my parents, who have instilled me with a love of music that allowed me to do what I'm doing today.
I'm Susan Sosin. I'm dedicating today to my son, Peter Sosin. Today is his yahrzeit. He died 2 years ago.
This memory should always be for a blessing.
Hi, I'm Maddie Schlesinger. I'm going to dedicate this to my wonderful, loving, inspirational grandparents.
My name is Fran Schwartz Velasco. All those names are Jewish. I'm dedicating this session to my parents who were married in 1940. Survived 3.5 years at Auschwitz. Came to the United States in 1946 and died in 1980.
I'm Patty Lee, and because this is about music, I will get dedicated to my mother, who gave me a harp and it enabled me to be a musician.
I'm Alan Genlin, and I'm dedicating this once and learn to those who survived the holocaust.
I'm Dory Baroness. I'm dedicating this to my mother, who named me Deborah. And she was, Deborah was an awesome prophetess and judge, and she's the Haftorah song of this week.
Yes, he is.
I'm Cheryl Wolf, and I'm dedicating this to my cousin John Wolf, who survived Auschwitz.
I'm Margaret Cotler. I'm going to dedicate this to my parents, Dorothy and Leo Platt. They were married on this day in 1939.
I'm Sherry Bloom Weinberger. I would dedicate this to my mother, who would sing at the top of her lungs every day when she would clean the house or cook or anything. And my daughter, who lives in Israel and is a music professional, a music teacher in Ramat Beit Shemesh.
I'm Dan Weinberger, and I dedicate this day to all those who are celebrating the return of the last hostage. And it's very appropriate to be reminded of Psalm 126, those who sow in tears, reap in joyous song. Korina. And here we have Song of Redemption.
There we go. And I dedicate this learning to any of us, anybody, anywhere who escaped narrow places, who went from slavery to freedom, whether it was physical slavery or personal slavery or spiritual slavery, but to find freedom and peace.
Beautiful. One more time. Beautiful. So this lesson is called The Song of Redemption and the Song of Confession, Shirat Hayam and Ashamnu. And if we could share it here on the screen, Cantor Lori. This is a topic which first called out to me some years back during my own studies as a student at Hebrew Union College. Probably first peaked the first time that I saw this image, and this is a picture of a picture that's hanging on the wall at Hebrew Union College at 1 West 4th Street in New York. And I invite us all to look closely at the image and to notice what we see there. Let's perhaps start at the middle and work our way out. What do we see in the middle of this picture?
A Hebrew prayer.
We see some Hebrew. Perhaps it's a prayer. A sentence from the Torah, to be more specific then.
This is the Song of the Sea.
This is, in fact, from the Torah scroll. It is Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. And Dan, what's unique about the way the Hebrew is laid out here compared to other parts of the Torah?
Spaces.
Say it again.
Spaces.
The spaces. Janice points out that the spacing of the Hebrew phrases is very unique. Can we zoom in on that at all if possible?
Let me see.
Good thing, it's okay.
Anything.
Raise your hand if you've seen a Torah scroll unrolled and seen the way that the Hebrew appears in a Torah scroll. Most of the time, how does it appear? Yeah, like blocks of text, right? Columns, maybe occasional spaces here or there to indicate the beginning of a portion or the end of a paragraph. But this is a very, very unique spot in the entire Torah scroll. Every single kosher Torah scroll will have the words arranged this way when we get to this week's Torah portion, Parashat Beshalach. The spacing is very unique. What does the spacing, just from a visual standpoint, what does it remind you of? Hey, Fred.
I'm not sure what it reminds me of, but it certainly looks like freedom. There's space to.
It looks like freedom.
Yeah.
It tastes like freedom.
I think so.
Perhaps, Spencer?
Reminds me of the way music is often written.
It reminds you of the way music is often written. Say more.
Well, you don't really pronounce a song the way you pronounce Torah, you know, line by line. It kind of has some jumps and movements, and there's in-between areas. Same kind of thing with poetry, which is more my background. And so I'm seeing kind of that layout here.
The word, of course, in Hebrew for song and poem, shirah, is the same. And so we can see there's some sort of pattern here, poetic pattern, musical pattern that's made manifest in the very visual nature of it. Yes, Dory?
It's the crossing of the sea. You have on the right side, and then you have the dry land, and then you have the other side of the water on the other side.
Beautiful. So you're seeing the actual shores of the sea represented in the way
With both sides
that the words are laid out.
crossing, yeah.
Yeah. Other thoughts? Yeah.
So in a song, when someone is singing and they're singing from sheet music, the musical notes tell the singer how long, relative to other notes, to sing that note. But also in the lyrics, sometimes the writer will put a line after a word to indicate hold the end of this word out. And so we're seeing these lines. And so those remind me of lyrics.
I love
on
that.
the song sheet.
I love that. And you mentioned the Psalms before. There's a word in Psalms, Selah, which is thought to indicate the same direction to the temple orchestra, right? Hold that long note out, or repeat that phrase. Selah. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Other observations about the text before we zoom out to look at what's around it?
Bricks.
Bricks. Classic rabbinic interpretation would see these as bricks, the way that bricks are laid overlapping, providing more sense of solidity to the structure. Maybe reminiscent of bricks used in pyramids, which our ancestors were forced to build while they were in bondage. Let's zoom out though now and take a look at some of the color depictions around the text. What do we notice in the colors surrounding the text?
There's timbrels and women dancing.
Timbrels and women dancing on the left, perhaps Miriam and some of the other Benotzion. Yes?
So I see the plagues on the right side.
You see the plagues on the right side. Which plagues do you see?
We have the fire,
Fire that rained down?
and the darkness at the top,
Darkness.
and then how they escape, and you see the chariot, the Egyptian across the top.
Yes.
You see them across the sea,
Yes.
where they drown.
Yes.
And then on the right, our joy of having escaped and starting a new life. And at the bottom, it reminds us that it's Pesach.
Yes, yes. All those things being held true at the same time. And in a way, I thought that this visual representation was the perfect entry point into this study, into this comparison, because as much as the Song of the Sea was occasion for singing and rejoicing, we have to imagine that for our ancestors, there were any number of other emotional components as well, as we'll get into next. So let's go forward now into the second page. This next bit of our class, you're actually going to learn how to chant the Song of the Sea, if you don't know it already, and I've laid it out in a way that hopefully is as user-friendly as possible, regardless of your Hebrew decoding ability or your musical aptitude. That song we sang at the beginning, how did it go? I die, 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 die. I die, 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 die. So that melody, as some of you may know, is the melody used to chant select verses from this Song of the Sea, which comprises Exodus chapter 15, verses 1 through 18. Now, not every verse is chanted using that melody. Some verses are chanted according to the normal Torah trope, and I've indicated those just in normal text. But the lines that are bolded, these are the verses that we sing traditionally using that melody, and perhaps, here at Temple Bethel this Shabbat morning, you might be hearing some of this chanted from the actual Torah scroll on Friday night using this very melody. So the first instance of it here you can see is in the second paragraph. You see where it says, Asher Ladonai? This is how it would go if you were using that melody. Ahashir Ladonai ki ga'o ga'a. Together. Ahashir Ladonai ki ga'o ga'a. Good, listen. Sus verochvo rama vayam. Sus. Sus verochvo rama vayam. Beautiful. Who would like to read what that means? The next line is the translation. Who would like to read it for us? Susan.
I will sing to Adonai, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea.
Beautiful. And the next verse is chanted the same way. Ohoziva zimratya vayhili lishua. Good, go on. Ze'eli ve'anvehu Elohe aviva agomemenhu. Very good. What does this mean? Another voice? Yes, friend.
Adonai is my strength and might. He has become my deliverance. This is my God, and I will enshrine him, the God of my father's house, and I will exalt him.
Good. One more line. Adonai ish milchama, Adonai shemo. And what does this last half verse mean? Who would like to read it? Who would like to read it out loud for us?
Adonai the warrior. Adonai is his name.
Beautiful, Giovanna. Thank you very much. So up till now, what do we notice these verses have in common? What are we talking about in each of these verses that might lend themselves to singing them differently than the way other Torah verses are sung? Yes?
I see the words triumph and enshrine, deliverance. To me, that says celebration.
So triumph and enshrine deliverance connote for Spencer something to be celebrated. Good. Other possibilities? Yeah, Dory.
Well, instead, they're definitely giving Adonai the credit for all that has transpired. Like, he took his mighty hand and brought us out of Egypt. You know, it wasn't we did it ourselves. We have to give our praise to God.
We have to give our praise to God. God is the subject. God's actions, right, are the verbs here. One of my colleagues likes to call it God talk. This is the focus of each of these verses, right? What God did to effectuate this redemption. And that's compared to the verses which aren't bolded, right? The very first verse, right above it, the focus is on Moses and the Israelites. And the verse that comes after this bolded paragraph, the focus is on Pharaoh's chariots and the army and being drowned in the Sea of Reeds, as we saw at the top of that picture. But then coming back, this next bolded section, we're back to the God talk, and we're back to that Shirah melody. Here we go. Yamin ha'Adonai nedari b'koach, Yamin ha'Adonai tiratz oyev. And what does this line mean? Would you like to read it? Susan?
Your right hand, Adonai, glorious in power, your right hand, Adonai, shatters the foe.
Yes, and thank you. We should clarify that we're not suggesting, and I don't think the Torah is suggesting that God actually has a right hand. The rabbis use the expression kivyachol, as it were, as if God had a right hand. And in the rabbinic imagination, the right hand is always seen as the stronger side, with apologies to those who may not be right-handed. It's just the rabbinic imagination at work here. But again, the focus is on God's actions, right? The next paragraph, the focus shifts back to the floods, the deep frozen the heart and the sea, the winds, the seas, again, the sinking of the Egyptians. At the bottom of the page, perhaps the most famous verse from Shirah Hayam. Let's try together. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot osech. The most famous rhetorical question in all of Judaism, perhaps, right? Who is like God? Exclamation mark, question mark. Turn the page. Again, we're seeing about what happens to God's enemies, zooming out to include not just the Egyptians, but the Philistines, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Canaanites. The point is clear. The next bolded paragraph, back to the focus on God. Ad ya'avor amcha Adonai, ad ya'avor amzu kanita. Or is it? What does this verse mean? Spencer?
Till your people cross over, Adonai. Till your people cross whom you have ransomed.
And would you say that the focus is still on God and God's actions in the same way as those other paragraphs?
I think it's transitioned a little bit to the people of God. They are, yes, God's people, and yes, God brought them out, but he's kind of recognizing, okay, God, we're your people.
And perhaps there's,
It's past tense. The ransoming, the freeing has already been done.
Interesting. So there's sort of some temporal ambiguity here, and also an essential action, right, that the Israelites have to take. Ad ya'avor amcha Adonai, until your people cross over. That word in Hebrew, la'avor, to cross over, is related to the word ivrit, right? Hebrew. The Hebrew word for Hebrew, ivrit, shares the same root as those who cross over, right? There's a sense of going from one place to another inherent in our very language. And so here it's sort of a combination of focus, right? Not just on God's power, amzu kanita, this people that you have ransomed or that you have possessed or that you have taken ownership for, but that these people somehow might be empowered themselves by the actions they take and the things they say. We'll come back to that in the next section. Again, the next paragraph will focus on where hopefully we will end up after redemption, and then the final verse here. Let's do it together. Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. That God should reign forever and ever. Okay. So this is Shirat Hayam, and again on Friday night, perhaps you will hear much, if not all of this chanted according to this melody and interspersed with the normal Torah cantillation that we hear every week. Take your hands, go like this with me. That's on the one side. On the other side, we have this other text called Ashamnu. Raise your hand if that word sounds familiar to you from somewhere, some other time. Marilyn, what's Ashamnu from?
I can't tell you where it's from, but I know when they sing it in the synagogue.
And I saw your hand go to your heart. Interesting. Anyone have a sense of when this comes from? Yes, Susan? Kol Nidre and? And throughout Yom Kippur and throughout Slichot. This is what is known as the short confession, or for all of you Aramaic scholars, the Vidui Zuta, which is Aramaic for the short confessional. And oftentimes we'll take our hand, right? Maybe we'll make a fist and we'll go to our heart, and we might go, ay 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 ay, and then each of these words, right? Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, ay 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 ay. Good. Let's take a look at this text, and it's been thoughtfully bolded for you in certain places once again. What does the bolding indicate? What pattern emerges looking at the text?
Alphabetical.
Alphabetical, if you're looking at the translation, courtesy of Forms of Prayer from the UK, and also alphabetical.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what you mean too. Okay, so it is a Hebrew.
Not so much alphabetical in English.
Yeah, it is a Hebrew acrostic, right? Each word begins with the next letter of the Hebrew alphabet, right? Ashamnu with an aleph, Bagadnu with a gimel, and so on, all the way up through the letter tav at the end. And we can see, if we're looking at the translation, or if we have access to the Hebrew, this is all in the same person. Speaking of tenses now, what person is this in? Us, right? The first person plural, right? All of us have done these things, right? And they're all different synonyms for the ways, perhaps, that we have missed the mark, that we take account of each and every Yom Kippur, and we sing according to this traditional melody. It's a very ancient melody. Some people say it's as old as the Torah and Mount Sinai itself, and the Hebrew for that is Mi-Sinai. This is a Mi-Sinai melody. Let's try it again. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah, that's the refrain that goes between each of these. Let's turn the page now to the top of page 4. So we can see that the Ashamnu prayer goes all the way through the letter Tav, the last letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and in this translation goes all the way through the letter Z, or Zed, as our British brethren would say. And now, here is the crux of this class, and what piques my interest, and hopefully yours as well. The bottom of page 4, I've drawn examples from the Concise Encyclopedia of Jewish Music by Macy Nolman. Raise your hand if you have this book on your shelf. Oh, Lori does, okay. Maybe you can ask her to see it if you want. It's a great resource. And here, even if you don't read music, I'll play it for you in a moment, you will notice something startling if you haven't noticed it already. So figure 37A is the musical notation of that Shirat Hayam melody. Shirat Adonai ki gaoga, and 37B is the musical notation for Ashamnu. Ashamnu. What do we notice about those two? They appear to sound the same.
They are the same except for passing tones.
We have a musical maven in our midst. I'll talk to you more afterward. Yes, they are clearly based on the same musical source material. And not only that, just as a cherry on top, you see at the last musical staff here, it's the same melody we use when we come to the end of a book of Torah. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. May we go from strength to strength, right, as we have completed this book of Torah and cross it to the next. So now, we are going to take as much as 5 minutes. We're going to turn to the person or people next to you, or we're going to type into the chat if we're watching this in real time, or turn to the person you're watching this recorded, And the question that I want you to try to answer is why? Why do we use the same melody for our song of redemption and for our song of confession? What possible explanation or explanations could there be? So work with your chavruta, your study buddy, the person to your right, to your left. You can get in groups of 2 or 3. Take the next few minutes and discuss why.
I never connected with you.
Oh, flip, go back. It's a grammatical nuance that has to do with the word being at the end of the verse. Like where we are not our name will actually say we're because of that particular kind of word, the second where you have the row. And when it comes in the middle of the verse or the end of the verse, sometimes the first becomes a principle transfers to an object. Yeah.
He's like, well, what did they do that for? It was so funny.
Yeah, it is based on different theotic authorities, right?
I never thought of it. I never really. And it's been an hour. Like you just spent an hour on it. Like it's amazing.
But also like this format is very inclusive.
Yeah, it's so I mean, I wish it wasn't read out. I wish we were
You know, I could also communicate directly with the Cantor.
I'm hoping the other side.
I still think that God's going to come to that. Leviticus, he's talking about that thing when they sacrifice lambs sandwiches. Sacrifice lambs sandwiches made our babies. I don't know. I'm not going to take it that far. I just think God will ask you for that.
Yeah, that's much better. That makes it much more. I agree. But I always heard this way, when I was at HSC, they taught us to do that like, oh wait, I was like, oh, I don't like that, I like it our way. And then again, who wrote it? And it's not Jewish. You know, it all happened.
How's it going? Yeah, we have some English friends. We want a chance to share it.
Oh, that's so funny.
We got ready?
This is slightly different from, I
That's okay.
I've never heard
We
it.
got ready to share out?
It's like you chant it in regular Friday night and then.
Are we about there? We have some ideas?
Then you can read it.
Susan, you have some ideas?
But he had a better way of teaching it.
Okay, I love the sound of a baby midrash and the different study buddies making a certain sort of music in their back and forth and their questions and answerings and doubting and refuting and points of order, and there's a certain music inherent to that. Very Jewish, exactly right, exactly right. So what do we think? Why do we have this same melody for our Song of Redemption and this Song of Confession? What do we think?
That's the subject.
Who would like to share? Who would like to share what your group talked about? Maddie would like to share. Maddie's being voluntold.
This is what we, I guess, deduced, Fran and I, that there was a continuum. Because in the beginning, it was the confession. And our belief, or at least my belief, is that the confession really came from a God inspiration. And God is part of the process when we feel ready to confess. So the confession, as a person confesses, feels unburdened. And the unburdening is the flow, the beginning of the redemption, which again, we believe is God inspired. So maybe there was a difference in emphasis, or in pace, or in even voice volume and intensity. And I can imagine that it would go from, a little hesitation or a little bit insecurity to getting more and more confident. And, the song may have picked up pace or intensity or motivation or joyfulness as it moves toward redemption. But the continuum means that it's not separate. It's
Beautiful.
just one thing.
A continuum of experience, and you use the word unburdened.
Yes.
Right, both in the confessional sense, but also we could, interpret that in sort of the redemptive sense as well, right? We feel free of whatever has been weighing us down. Beautiful. Other thoughts? Yes, Spencer?
There were two schools of thought in our group, and Lauren will share the first one.
Okay.
And then I'll share the second one.
Okay.
Perhaps we need to confess in order to be redeemed. That one leads to another. But then Marilyn said the converse.
No, I said it's both. It's equality, it's balance. You can't truly confess unless you have that. No, I'll go the other way first. You can't be redeemed unless you truly confess, and only after you truly confess can you feel yourself redeemed. So it's an equality.
Yes.
And I think human nature is such that we don't always recognize something that we may have thought done that was not within, where we want to be. We don't know. Sometimes it's there, but you don't see yourself. So this allows us to put it all together, regardless of whether we think not, it puts it all together. It makes it easier. It makes it so much easier to confess to something that you're not sure of when everybody is.
When you're doing it as part of a group, and something that might be hard to see, might be easier to hear, especially when there are others involved. Did you have another part, something?
Yeah, so the second school of thought here was that in Egypt, before we came out and were redeemed, if we're thinking about this in a more literal historical context, is we stole, we robbed. I mean, we took the gold and silver out with us. We transgressed and we were unkind. I mean, they were slavers. Why wouldn't we? We were violent, we were weak in a lot of cases. We practiced extortion. Give us your gold or God will X, Y, Z. And we yielded the wrong desires. We desired to go back to Egypt, that things weren't so bad. We had zeal. We were angry at Moses for making things worse. We were angry at God for needing 10 plagues. We were angry at God for leaving us at the side of the sea. And then we almost said, let's just surrender and go back.
Wow, so you're doing a really close reading of a Shamnu through the eyes and the experiences of our ancestors who were enslaved. Wow. Wow. A few other thoughts?
Yeah,
Yes.
What this made me think of is that darkness opens the light. So when I feel I've made a mistake, I'm annoyed, I didn't do something, I say to myself, let this darkness open a door to light of a solution, of doing something better. And it makes me feel less guilty about something I did.
that wasn't right.
This reminds me of the great Rabbi in Cantor, Leonard Cohen. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
Yeah.
A few more thoughts before we reveal what some of the rabbis opine.
So we could include people that somebody does something yucky and you say there's a crack in that person?
Perhaps. Perhaps.
We all got a crack in it.
Yeah. Isn't that also a Japanese art form, right? When it comes to yes. Yes.
And it's also when they make a carpet,
Oh.
put a mistake in.
Say that again?
Because only God is perfect.
Oh. We preserve even the mistakes. The mistakes become holy and become possibilities for future redemption. All right, well, you're all, I think, dancing in the same large rabbinic ballroom here. Let's turn the page. Let's enter in. Take those hands. Remember we had Shirat Hayam on one side. Take your hands, go like this with me. We had Hashamnu on the other. And now we're going to open the door into the rabbinical court. And let's see what's happening here. So at the top of page 5, this is a quote from a beautiful article that goes way more in depth on this subject. It's by Cantor and scholar Jonathan Friedman, who's based on the West Coast. This article is called The Victory of Confession, Ashamnu, the Shira, and Musical Symbolism in Jewish Worship. I'm going to ask Dan, yes, Dan, if you'd be so kind as to read this quote out loud for us.
The only obvious link between these texts is that Ashamnu is sung as a call and response between cantor and congregation, a method that recalls the responsorial singing of Moses and the Israelites in the Exodus account. Yet while this manner of singing in Exodus emphasizes the collective nature of redemption, its use in singing Ashamnu suggests collective sinfulness. When attached to the Shira tune, this relentless list of transgressions, epitomizing human fallibility and our apparent helplessness in the face of our darkest impulses, is overlaid with a sense of exaltation. The music symbolically inverts the prayer from darkness to light.
And you didn't know that was coming. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. You are on the same wavelength. Thank you for that. That's the reminder that there's 15 minutes left. It's okay. We'll use every minute of them. Beautiful. So the connection here that Cantor Dr. Friedman is pointing out is Ashamnu and Shirat Hayam in many congregations have a custom of being call and response. I don't know if it's either when you do Ashamnu, it's first the cantor then the congregation, or do you do it all together? So there are some communities, mine happens to be one of them, right, Janice, where whoever is leading the service will go Ashamnu, and then we respond Ashamnu, right? It's a sort of call and response. And so too, in many communities, when the Song of the Sea is chanted out loud, there can be a custom of first the Torah chanter will do the first part, and then the community will do the second part, or even repeat the entire verse. So, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha neda ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot o sefer. That would be an example of the sort of call and response style that is done in certain congregations. So there's the idea of the one voice in the midst of the many, and as Friedman points out, singing Ashamnu together suggests this idea of collective sinfulness, that all of us somehow, in each of our voices, in each of our personal capacities for redemption, gain some sort of redemptive special power, superpowers, by acknowledging what we've done together as a community, right? Naming it out loud somehow calls it to become reality. And as we saw in the picture on the very front, it was inspired by this notion that our Israelite ancestors, sort of inhabiting their consciousness and their worldview in the way that Spencer was doing a moment ago, might have had all sorts of reactions at that actual moment of redemption, right? Not just singing in joy, but also perhaps acknowledging the enormity of what just happened, and maybe looking behind them if what we read, is based in reality, and seeing the sea swallow up Pharaoh and all of Pharaoh's chariots. And this is related to this famous passage from Talmud, from Sanhedrin 39b. Would someone like to read what the Gemara comments on, Spencer?
The Gemara comments, as Rabbi Shmuel Bar Naaman says, that Rabbi Yonatan says, what is written is what is the meaning of that which is written in the passage of describing the splitting of the Red Sea. And the one night came, not near the other, all night, Exodus 14:20. At that time, the ministering angels desired to recite a song before the Holy One, blessed be He. The Holy One, blessed be He, said to them, my handiwork, the Egyptians, are drowning in the sea, and you are reciting a song before me? Apparently God is not gladdened by the downfall of the wicked.
So this points out to us the difference, one of the many differences, between humans and angels. Angels, right, there's no possibility for individual free will, right? They all do the same thing, right? And they're all in rank and file, and they sing in different choirs and different, orders of angels. It's sort of like a flock of sheep, let's say, right? They all sort of go along like with the crowd. And so God comes and chides them. This is not necessarily a time exclusively for joy. There are people dying here. There are other human beings.
in the Talmud, but not in the Torah.
This part is from the Talmud, yeah. This is rabbinic interpretation.
But in the Torah, God doesn't say that to Moses, like
No, that's not in the Torah.
Thank you, because I've always heard this part of it.
Yeah.
But now I'm happier that it's not in the Torah.
Yeah, this is rabbinic gloss, we say, right? Rabbinic interpretation of the words of the Torah.
Thank you.
And it goes to show us that unlike angels, we have free will, where we can choose. Perhaps the only ultimate choice we have, right, is how to respond to what happens in the world around us, right? How to respond to what life throws at us. And so we imagine ourselves in the footsteps of our ancestors. On the one hand, we've just been released from 400 years of bondage. That's wow, right? Surreality, I can't believe this is actually happening. And look behind and look at everything that's happening to everyone else. Sort of a Jewish version of the Orpheus and Eurydice myth, right? If we keep going forward and we have faith in what's going forward and resist the temptation to look behind, well, we might be missing something really, really important, and a really important lesson about our own humanity, our own fallibility, right? Our own inherently human struggles. And so we have a choice to how to respond to these enormous events that befall us as a people. We did then, and perhaps we do now. Let's turn to the last page for a few more responses to this phenomenon, this common melody to both redemption and confession. The Tiferes Yisrael, aka Rabbi Yisrael Lifshutz, who was a famous 19th century rabbi, is commenting on a line from the Mishnah with respect to Ashamnu and why that particular melody is associated with Ashamnu. Michelle, I see you smiling. Do you want to read it out loud for us? It's okay. That's all right.
Where is it?
We're at the top of the back page.
It is proper to sing the Ashamnu prayer, and that with true and sincere repentance, through its jubilant singing, one's transgressions may be reversed and transformed to virtues.
We were dancing around this idea earlier, I think, right? The notion that if we say this out loud, all of us together, as much as, we may be reluctant to name what we've done out loud, doing so somehow lightens us, right? And somehow makes it into a virtue, makes it into something that we can be proud of naming out loud. Yeah?
I think that it's because we do it as a congregation.
We do it as a congregation.
With other people, and of course, yeah, I think that makes a big difference than just being alone and saying what you've done wrong.
I'm going to ask you to read the next quote in a moment, but I want to see if there are any other reactions to this. Yeah, Michelle.
I was going to say that one of the things that Susan and I spoke about as far as why the melody would be similar is because both processes led to a sense of some kind of freedom, right? Whether it was spiritual or emotional or physical or whatever, and it always actually struck me that Ashamnu, which feels like such a heavy, deep process to go through, is in a major key.
Yeah.
Which in musical terms, it sounds happier.
Oh, you do it.
That is our major Hamako
Yeah.
that I inherited.
Monty Lazar, the director of the Zamir Choral Foundation, likes to say Jewish music has the quality of being in both major and minor at the same time. Same melody, just reharmonized.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting, that's, you know, because we tend to dig into minor so much.
Yes.
It's such a significant moment.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, and it's one that, as Susan was saying, perhaps is made more powerful and meaningful by the fact that we're doing it together. Could I ask you to read what Soloveitchik says, Susan, when the individual?
When the individual confesses, he does so from a state of depression, insecurity, and despair in the wake of sin, for which he has no assurance of being acquitted. In contrast, the Jewish community confesses having a sense of confidence and even rejoicing with the singing of the Dewey in a heartwarming melody.
Yeah, so somehow this very experience of us doing it together bolsters our spirits and reassures us, right? We even do so with a sense of confidence, right? We kind of know how this is going to go, right? Not that we're phoning it in, chas v'chalil, right? No one's phoning it in on Yom Kippur, hopefully, but by us showing up and doing this with, you know, fullness of heart and presence of mind, that we know what this will lead to, right? Because we feel a sense of unburdening ourselves, right? As if a weight has been lifted. Yes, Dorothy?
It's like the song, like the Shema,
Yeah.
right? Most Jews know the Shema, and we were talking about even from our childhood, you remember this song, and it's funny because if you had sung the song of, you know, the Shira,
Yeah.
I wouldn't remember that tune, but now that you said, oh, it's the Dewey,
Yeah.
this is the same song, I know that come Friday, I'll know that song.
Yeah.
But it's that singing, you have it in you, and like you said, as a chorus, we're all standing like, I don't have a very good voice, not like my friend Susan down
I think you
there.
have a lovely voice.
No, but we all know that song.
Yeah.
We've all sung that song from childhood.
Yeah.
Or we've been with our parents singing that song. So that song is in our head.
Yes.
And even for people like physically knowing a song, they may not know the words anymore. They still know the tune.
Yes.
Or they might still know the words, even though they don't even know their son or their daughter.
Yeah.
So it repeats itself.
It repeats itself and somehow
Yeah.
transports us back
Yeah.
to, you know, perhaps an
Generation.
earlier
Yeah.
time in life where it helps us commune with ancestors long gone. The ritual itself
Yeah.
is what effectuates it. And that actually goes beautifully to this next quote by Dr. Daniel Levitin. Can you read this? Rituals tie us?
Sure. Rituals tie us to the event itself and to a cycle of history in which similar events have previously occurred and will continue to occur. They are a form of externalized social memory, and when marked by music, they become even more firmly instantiated in both our personal and our collective memories.
Yeah. Somehow the music, the tune, is what effectuates it more than anything else, right? The music, the tune that we all sing together in community does the thing that we're there to do, but also connects us with where we were.
Connects
Right?
with pathos.
Yeah. Yeah. Spencer.
I find two things interesting here.
Yep.
The first is that, at least in theory, but quite possibly, we've been singing the same tune or some version of it going back to, you know, Miriam. And the second is that the music really does tie us, and the melody really does tie us to memory. Because my sister and I, we go to services for years between now and, you know, when we were kids. But there was a Shabbat at the beach at my home synagogue in Temple Israel, Westport. And my sister and I went with my parents, and neither of us needed the prayer book. Because my parents sent us to Orthodox Jewish summer camp when we were kids, and we both memorized somehow the melodies and the music, even though they were slightly different when we came back.
Yeah.
Even a decade later, we both somehow remembered everything. So I think it's not institutional memory, but something deeper.
I think you're onto something as well. Let's take one more comment, Nirvana, and then we're going to close. Yes.
Since you enjoy reflecting on the contribution of other folks, if you had met Cantor Jakes, which I thought you might have, he played with his guitar a similar tune.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
just the way he played it. I don't know if it's minor and major mixed together, but it has so much.
Yeah, I mean, look, in Western musical theory, there are only so many notes, right? There's exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And there are only so many combinations that those notes can be in. And it stands to reason, especially, you know, from sort of the Jewish communal, you know, internal soundtrack, that there are certain melodies or fragments of melodies that will show up even in contemporary Jewish music. And so we're actually going to end by singing together this song by Alana Arian called I Have a Voice, which some of you may have heard. And if you listen carefully, you will hear musical allusions to this same melody of Shirat Hayam and Ashamnu. I do not think it was intentional. I actually asked her about this. She said, whoa, I had no idea that's what I was doing. But if you listen as we sing...
No copyright laws.
No. I mean, Misinai, right? I mean, Torah lives and breathes in every generation. But the combination of that melody with these words that she said to us, I think beautifully sort of connects all the things we've been talking about, the power of redemption, the power of confession. We're going to sing it in a moment after Lauren has the last word.
I just had a comment,
Yes.
a question actually. So are the Orthodox melodies similar to melodies sung in Reform synagogues?
Yeah, so this Ashamnu melody and the Shirat Hayam melody is common to virtually every stream of Judaism, even different Jewish communities, right? The Mizrahi and Spanish Portuguese and Georgian Jews will all have versions of many of these same melodies. So this is a call and response to start with. I'm going to sing something, you sing it back. I will open my eyes. I will not look away. I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will give of myself. I will reach out my hand. I will use this heart I've been given to take a stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Here comes the bridge. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asanu b'tzedek Elohim again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asanu Last verse. I will fight for the truth. I'll stand up for what's right. I will use this strength I've been given to be alive. I have a voice. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Ay, 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 change the world. Change the world. May we each use our voices to do our part to feel redeemed, to be able to unburden ourselves of all that's weighing us down, and in so doing, work together to change the world. Thank you all so much.